I'm here today to introduce our video assignment for sport facility management. I'm in a group with Brad Gill and Andrey, Milne, and together we have researched and analysed CE Brown Reserve, so the Wendouree cricket football ground and its smaller ground and the clubroom facility. So it must be noted that also there's a dog park nearby for people to go there during their leisure time, take their dogs there and have a bit of a play around. So there is that facility there. There's some tennis courts as well. So that also, I just want to note that there's cricket nets in the facility or around that environment in which we are focusing on. And also there's netball courts near the smaller oval. That's a part of what we're going to talk about during our video presentation. So welcome, hopefully you enjoy our analysis and our appraisal as well. The ground and the clubroom facilities have recently gone through a $2.5 million redevelopment. So quite a significant contribution from the state government, and Ballarat City Council obviously worked with the Wendouree Cricket Club and Lake Wendouree Football Club to make that happen. So the aim of the presentation is to identify the standard of the facility, the ground and the club rooms, and highlight any weaknesses and strengths that we see associated with these facilities based on what we've learnt this semester. We'll give our personal opinion on the facility. We've gone out, we've had a meeting with the builder, Craig Jenkins, who works for SJ Weir, and redeveloped the existing facilities. So that's part of our research methodology, obviously, that interview, and we've also made a few phone calls and had interviews, correspondence that way, just with key stakeholders within the Wendouree Cricket Club and Lake Wendouree Football Club. So yeah, that's the beginning of it. Enjoy the rest. Thank you.
These are the away change rooms and toilets for the footballers. As you can see, there is locker space for teams and adequate space for them to warm up before a big game. One of the best things we can see in this facility is that there is an obvious separation between wet and dry areas, which in this day and age is a real OH&S safety requirement. The same thing can be said for the home teams as well as the change rooms for the umpires and the netballers' change rooms. Throughout the whole change room areas, this safety requirement has been met and is adequate for all those who use them. Throughout the change rooms, within all the toilet and showers areas, there are enclosed showers for both male and female footballers, as well as open showers for those who just want to rinse themselves to get the mud and dirt off. These are the indoor cricket nets that the Wendouree Cricket Club wish to have within the facility. As you can see, the nets run all the way down to the back end of this area, and they help to protect the ball when it is hit or when the bowlers bowl a really bad ball. The one thing that we saw with this area is that there is a lot of glass windows and stuff next to where they hit. Say if a left-hander was to hit a ball really hard, we've put our hands up against the nets and they stretch a fair bit. So this is an OH&S safety issue with the glass there, as we feel like if someone gets hold of a ball really well, that the ball will go straight through the net and smash the windows behind it. So this is a small video that we took while we were at the facility. This really shows how narrow the nets are and how close they are to the glass windows and doors that sit on the left hand side as I'm walking down the nets. There is a fair bit of play in these nets as well that we can see, but we've been told by one of the club presidents that the nets are hopefully going to be tied down a bit more and a lot more tighter, so then they think this area will be a lot better once they do that. So these areas here are the main function halls that the Wendouree Cricket Club, Football Club, Netball Club and the Junior Athletics Club run functions and stuff in. As you can see, it's a big area with big wide glass windows that help to see each game as they are played out. There's a massive projector in there, so if they have say a trivia night within this facility, it's a great place to be able to put the answers and the questions up on the board when they're being asked. There's also a bar area where you can buy their license, so you can buy refreshing beverage such as a Carlton Draft, Carlton Dry or something like that, as well as there's a canteen that runs into the back end of it that on game day runs very efficiently with a lot of space for the volunteers to move around in and cook. There's also cleaning areas and there's storage room for all the, say if a mess happens, there's a lot of space there for certain items that they may need to clean up this area.
Hi all, Mathew Begbie here, and we've got Max Drew with us, the president of the Wendouree Cricket Club. Maxie, thank you for giving us your time. Mate, we'll jump straight in. So could you explain a little to us about the background history of the facility?
Well, going back since I've been here 20 years, all it was here was the current 4 walls that we've got, apart not the extension, but on the other side of the ground, the old green sheds were built when the war was on.
Yep.
And over a period of time, with modern day facilities being required, that was deemed unsafe.
Yep.
And so the council got together with the users to decide to renovate the building.
Beautiful. Gill. The budgeting process, so how'd that go with key user groups?
The key user group didn't have to put any money in.
Yeah.
It was all budgeted for, paid for by City Council and Victorian State Government. It's marvellous how they can come up with money when there's an election.
That's
that a lot.
So you touched a bit on the user groups. Can you just explain who they are and what they really do around the joint?
Well, you've got the Lakers Football Club.
Yep.
They train probably 3 nights a week over the winter period. Yep. Then you've got the Cricket Club, which we train. The only nights our nets are not used is Saturday. Our Cricket Club runs 6 days a week during the summer season because we've got so many sides.
Yep.
And then the other user group is the Athletics Club, which run athletics up there on a Friday night, and that's huge for the little athletes.
Yeah.
But they're the 3 main players in this facility.
Are there any other uses for the facility that are currently being held?
But we use it for functions, weddings, 21st, 30th birthdays, 50th birthday parties. If you want to have Woolworths have used it for meetings. There are other companies that just use it for meeting facilities to get away from their office routine. An outside venue where there's no phone calls or disruptions and things like that.
So it's obviously adequate enough to meet these standards and expectations of the user groups?
Oh yeah. I mean everything's, as you can see, TV, projector, air conditioning, cooking and facilities, even bar facilities.
Awesome.
So,
Could you identify any of the major strengths with, even though you've talked about like the projectors and all the bar stuff, all the other major strengths that you would use as a cricket club?
Well, as a cricket club, we use this part here where we're currently sitting, which is we call our members bar. But as far as the cricket facilities go down the far end, we've got indoor cricket nets, which no other club in Ballarat has. We now have change rooms for first 11, home and away. Around the other side of the building for the second over, we have change rooms for home and away teams. But on the plus side of that as well, there's home and away change rooms for netball. And the umpires. So no one has to, everyone has their own change room facilities, umpires rooms, things like that, scoreboard rooms, all part of the new facility out there.
Could you identify any negatives within the design of the facility?
I won't say, yeah, the only negative we had is we asked for an indoor cricket facility, which has specification, and without being told, they were reduced by a metre either side, which again took away from being a brand new great facility to instead of being 100% indoor cricket facility, probably only 80%. There's not enough room.
Are there any consequences associated with that, like any OH&S or anything like that? Or?
Well, they are very close together, as you would know, if you're backing in.
Definitely.
We did have some issues with the nets falling down.
Yep.
They weren't put up correctly, but because they're under warranty, builder's warranty, they come back and fixed it correctly, because everything was built to a price.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we use shortcuts, but they probably use things that just got across the line.
Yeah.
But as the weakness come up, we were able to address it straight away and get on top of it. As for OH&S, we have everything that's safe. Everything's brand new.
Yep.
If we go down the path, we have defibrillators.
Oh yeah.
Which we have one for the football club, and there's actually one over in the green shed for training.
Didn't even know that. That's good.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see it. But we also had a training session on how to use a defibrillator from the cricket club.
Yeah.
It's good having it.
Yeah, everyone knows how to use it. Yeah, it's good, real good.
Training session for it.
In case of an emergency, such as alarms and action plans?
Well, this place is fully alarmed for security reasons. There's cameras, which is probably on us at the moment. But as far as action plans go, for after hours, it's just contact numbers, and we're all prepared to drop down tools to get up here.
Do you have any security outside during the night, like 24-hour surveillance or something?
Cameras, yeah. Plus we also have security guards that call in on a regular basis, might be once every 2 hours. Just through sectoral security.
I don't know if many places do this with our care user groups, but do we collect data on the attendance of this facility?
Strange you may say that, Matthew.
Yeah.
To book the facility, you have to go online.
Yep.
So all the things on the internet or the website. So we want to know who used it January 2017. You can go back and look at those dates.
That's amazing. That's good.
Also going forward, we've already blocked out, the cricket club has blocked out a period of 4 to 5 weeks, knowing that we're going to run functions, breakout reviver, last minute, all those types of things. So we can look at it. We do not, as far as the data goes, you can go back, you know how many people are there, they say they're going to pay for 50, so we're going 50 there. So over a period of time, to be able to work out what type of functions, whether they were 21st, weddings, birthdays, or cricket functions.
Awesome.
And the last one for you is, how often do you complete inspections on this facility?
From a cricket club, we're here 5-6 days a week, and we always look around to make sure everything's secure, anything's broken. The footy club during their winter time, that's up to them how often they do it, but when the facility's been used for so long, or so often, there's always someone here to keep an eye on things and make sure that if there is something wrong, it's fixed straight away. For security.
Awesome. Thanks, Maxie. That's all those questions. Now we're just going to run through just some things that we picked up on and
while walking around and just
give our thoughts about the facility.
And obviously I love the facility, but we have to point out some things, and one thing that probably I noticed is there's not much fixed seating around the oval, so that's one thing, so that hopefully in the future we could get.
So just with the nets, we noticed that there was a lot of glass windows, doors and that. I know that the nets are there to stop the ball from going, but when we were pushing on them a bit, it felt like you could actually push them a fair way. They were fairly flexible.
The doors?
Yeah, not the doors, the actual net themselves. So if someone comes in left-hander, say, they have really got hold of a ball, and cricket balls are usually quite hard. We're just thinking maybe that might actually go, like the net might actually go through and actually hit the window and smash.
Yeah.
That was one thing that we sort of thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we're able to tighten them.
Yeah.
So if people keep jumping into them, that will stretch.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Another thing we picked up, I guess it would be the parking around the area. I guess there's not enough parking to the capacity on the big like footy day and stuff like that.
Yeah. There you govern by what we've got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But on a big day, like if Mars Stadium's being used, big ground over there, they use number 2 over for North Ballarat, and they use this as parking.
Yep.
But on a home and away game, the ground is not for football. It's normally chock block. And parked out in Dowling Street.
Yeah.
Parking is an issue.
Yeah. And there's no electronic scoreboard, is there?
We do have a portable one for football.
Which
hangs on the fence, but for cricket and football, there is talk about adding that to the facility.
Yeah. All right, no worries.
I suppose, again, with the nets, the run-up surface, how you change from the concrete and it switches to the carpet, we find that could be like a tripping hazard every now and then, and obviously you're going to get scuff marks and stuff, so that's another sort of little thing that we picked up on.
Yeah. Again, you'd have to keep an eye on where the concrete and the carpet is sealed. Maybe we should put a metal strip across. Not sure if we can, but take it on board,
Also, we're thinking about maybe around the back, maybe more lighting at night, or maybe like for the females, just that later at the club here when they walk back to the car, so they feel a bit more safe.
But over the back where the netball courts are, they're fully lit. So you can play night netball, night netball.
That makes sense.
So when the girls are training, and I have girls that play for the Lakers, it's all lit up out the back. And if anyone does feel safe, all they have to do is ask someone around in Tactica.
What about, is there more, do you know what the sandpit is for the triple jump and stuff? Is there lighting near there?
No, because they only use it during the summer. So when daylight saving kicks in, which is this Sunday, they're done and dusted by 8 o'clock at night and still daylight.
And probably again back to seating, so a grandstand could be a good option potentially, maybe. I don't know where you'd put it, but
depends on the cost.
It does depend on the cost and who funds it, obviously Ballarat City Council, which is sort of who we're targeting, I suppose. So a grandstand, something we think could be introduced.
It would be great to have between the 2 overs.
Agreed.
A bit like the Geelong situation with the football ground and the cricket ground. They have a stadium in the middle. You can walk that side to watch the football, or walk that side to watch the cricket.
That'd be good. That'd be awesome. I suppose again, shelter around the oval. Like I'm sure Matt's probably done it if he's ever played football out here. There's not a lot of windbreak, so when you're playing, I suppose there's more for players again. There's not, when it's windy, you kick the ball and nearly goes behind you again. But I suppose it's just, I suppose it's just maybe some more shelter to stop the wind from coming through could be an option later on. Or
there's not any shelter as in trees.
That's the thing. Like you've got a few out there, but that's sort of more around the dog park and stuff like that. So
But we have discussed it, and again, we can't just go and plant trees. We've been here on such a hot day, and you've got girlfriends and wives and little toddlers, and on 30 degrees, there's not much shade. So, as you know, we have the marquees out there for some games, but we do need some extra
shelter and stuff like that.
So wet and dry areas, do you want to touch on that one, Brad?
We just think there's plenty of also positives around the facility. We thought the wet and dry areas were excellent. There was plenty of room. I think there was wet dry area for each team. So we thought it was really excellent.
Definitely. I think that sums it up. Do you boys have anything else to add, or you're all happy?
I think that's what we covered.
James, thanks for your time, mate. Really appreciate it. We'll jump straight in. So, how did you gain the contract to redevelop the club rooms?
Gain the contract?
So I might be able to word that better, but did you have to put in a tender, or?
You mean for the funding? for the funding. Okay, so what we did was over the last 10 years, we were lobbying council and both political parties for funding. And for a number of years that didn't get us terribly far. We didn't seem to land any funding off either of the political parties or from council. And then just prior to the last state election, Daniel Andrews, who was the then opposition leader, he made a pledge of 2.5 mil for the facility if he was to gain government. So at the time, the state standing Liberal government, they wouldn't commit to the pledge. So in that sense, we were fortunate that the Labor government did, and we had 2.5. We felt that the whole facility, to achieve what we wanted to achieve, was a $3 million spend. So when we went to get funding, at that stage, council had an allocation of $500K in their budget. So we were very strategic about what we went to get, and that was 2.5, which the then council's 500 would give us exactly what we wanted for the whole facility. Unfortunately, council didn't come good with their 500. So hence why the existing building at the moment hasn't been refurbished. That was the money that was lost through the process.
And is there scope there to potentially refurbish that? I guess it depends on funding.
Funding again, funding again, but I'm not sure. I haven't had any recent involvement in any next stage, so I really don't know whether the likes of the toilets and the amenities are the next thing that needs to be done, but I'm not sure where it sits with that.
I'll ask you, what was the biggest challenge you faced during the development of the facility?
Well, the biggest challenge was getting the funding. Trying to get the funding was the hardest work. And I suppose the design process, how this works is the government give a commitment, and then when they pay down that commitment, they actually give it to the local council. So the local council becomes effectively they are the owner, and then they jump into the mix, and then the clubs then need to work with the council about what they need and how it all comes together. So that was a fairly chunky process, but certainly trying to get the funding is certainly the most difficult.
So obviously there was a planning process to go through and to be able to actually get all this up and running. Can you sort of take us through a little bit of the process that you took, and like after the funding and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. So after the funding, the council developed what they called a PCG group, which was made up of, I can't remember how many we had, but let's say there was half a dozen people who were made up of the footy club, the cricket club and the athletics club. And then from there, everyone put forward what their desire was and what they were chasing. And over a period of 6 months, those thoughts were developed into plans.
Was there any sort of contingency between the couple of groups within that really sort of stopped you from going forward at some stage?
No, the user group was pretty cohesive. I would have said everyone was pretty respectful of what each other were chasing, and I don't think any of the groups were as users. I don't think any of the groups were looking for unreasonable or had unreasonable expectations.
So they all worked together.
The group was quite focused.
Cohesive.
Nice.